Right, 16 March 2022, and today I've got a very interesting discussion, and this is going to be something that we're going to be watching for the next few months. A lot is going to happen within the next few months within the new party of Nelson Chamisa, the CCC, and this thing that I'm going to tell you here is going to determine what happens to Zimbabwe after the elections. So going into 2023, the people that are going to be appointed by Nelson Chamisa now, they're going to play a big part or a big role in what happens in the country. So today, Nelson Chamisa, CCC president, met with Hopewell Chin'ono. So he visited Hopewell Chin'ono at his house and took this picture. You see that Chamisa has got a new suit. I saw he was wearing this suit when he went to Glenview to visit the old lady who supports him there. And yeah, Chamisa is a very interesting person because he's very accommodating. He doesn't like ruffling feathers. So what Chamisa does is he always tries to accommodate the people from the past. But when it is necessary, Chamisa makes appointments that can actually surprise you. So if we look back, so I want to take you back to 28 May 2020. That is the last day Chamisa made a significant reshuffle of his political party. So if you go to gambago.com, you will see that I've linked to that day. And on that day, he fired Elias Mzuri, Douglas Nonzora, Morgan Komichi, Daniel Molekele, and he appointed Fadzai Mahere into a position of communication from her education portfolio. He also made the deputies Felix Magalela Svanda and Clifford Hlachwayo. So you will see that Chamisa made a bold decision on this day. He fired, in fact, this is when he began to separate himself from the MDC-T, or the MDC that went into the elections. So what we're seeing here now is Chamisa obviously is preparing for the next step, which is to make appointments that are going to go into the new government. If Chamisa is going to be the new president of Zimbabwe, which is unlikely, Chamisa is going to need to go with a lot of people and a lot of experienced people. At the moment, Chamisa has got a weak team. And when I say a weak team, I'm talking here about Chamisa is only functioning with less than 5 people. That is Tendai Biti, Ostalos, Mahere, and to a small extent, Washman Ngube, who has not been appearing because he's sick, Tapita Kumalo, extremely sick. So Chamisa has been operating with a very small team. And young Kodamsa Siwa has had to do all the fundraising because David Coulthard is nowhere to be found. You cannot find David Coulthard at all. And he's been a great disappointment to Chamisa. So what you basically have is Chamisa has a chance now to make new appointments. And these new appointments, they stem from those weaknesses. The current team that Chamisa has got cannot form a government. If right now Chamisa was to win the elections, he's going to struggle to fill his cabinet. The people there are not experienced. They don't have the right skills. They are not at all. Most of them have been only in the politics of Zimbabwe. They've never worked anywhere. They are not technocrats. And this is where Chin'ono comes in. The meeting between Chin'ono and Chamisa today, very significant, because Chin'ono is not someone that you can take lightly. You know, I always joke about Chin'ono here, and I want you guys to know that most of the times I'm just pulling his legs. I actually respect Hopewell. So he is a guy that Chamisa has earmarked for that communications portfolio, because going into the next elections, international communication is going to be critical. It is going to be very important to put out a message to the public in Zimbabwe, but also to international stakeholders. So the reason why you saw Chamisa meeting Hopewell today is to offer him that position of party spokesperson. And then you say, okay, what happens to Mahere if Hopewell Chin'ono takes the position of party spokesperson? Because that position is going to be critical. In fact, there are two critical positions: presidential spokesperson, which is being wasted by Nkululeko Spanda. Nkululeko Spanda has been very ineffective. And then there's also the position of party spokesperson or secretary for communications, which is currently being held by Mahere. So Mahere does not have the temperament and the international communication network, the international network that Chin'ono has got. And so Chamisa has realized that he needs someone in there who can match anyone. And I think Chin'ono can do so. Chamisa would have made a good decision there if he appointed Chin'ono in that portfolio of party spokesperson. Because whatever happens in 2023, the communication internationally is going to be key. So you're going to see that offer being made to Hopewell. The question is Hopewell willing to get rid of his independence and have a boss? Because the moment he's appointed by Chamisa, he's going to need to be submissive to Chamisa. He cannot criticize the party positions and policies openly. You saw Chamisa openly criticized the appointment of Watchman Ncube, the decision on Tokozani Kupe, the delay on announcing a new name. Hopewell has been outspoken on these issues, and he even threatened to quit social media when Chamisa refused to take his advice to move away from the MDC Alliance name. So Hopewell, very, very high work rate. He goes hard on this voter registration, and a lot of young people are actually looking up to Hopewell Chin'ono in terms of his views. They are quoting him on a lot of things. In fact, his name is Daddy Hope. They call him Daddy Hope. So I think that is why Chamisa has gone with Hopewell Chin'ono. I hope that this appointment comes through for Chamisa. It's a good appointment if he makes it. Then when you look at Mahere, Mahere is certainly going to be the vice president of the MD of the CCC. Not one, maybe one of five. I'm sorry, guys, I need to close my door. There's rain now, and I did not close my doors before I started here. So let me close the doors and we'll continue after this. Right, so let us look at the vice presidents, because there are certain key positions. So we've looked at the party spokesperson, Hopewell Chin'ono. If he accepts this position, the CCC would be a formidable force. Look at who is the spokesperson for ZANU-PF, and then look at Hopewell Chin'ono. If they were to go in front of an international audience, Hopewell Chin'ono is going to win. And locally, among the youths who are going to make at least 50 to 60% of the voters. When I'm looking at a youth, I'm looking at someone who is 5 years younger than me. You can see that I'm already an old guy. I'm 45. The guys who we're talking about here are 40 and below. The majority of the voters in these coming elections, they are 40 and below. The appointment of Hopewell Chin'ono in the position of spokesperson of the party or presidential spokesperson, and the appointment of Mahere as the vice president or one of 5 vice presidents is going to be critical for Chamisa. That team that is going to appoint there is going to make a big difference to how the party goes into the 2023 elections. And also the narrative among the diaspora. The diaspora is very critical. When I say critical, I mean they don't have confidence in Chamisa's team. Chamisa's team, very, very weak at the moment. Besides Mahere and BT, people have got very little confidence in whoever is in that team. Look at someone like Karen Kore. She does not inspire confidence at all. So the vice president's position, what Chamisa is going to do, he has said in the past that he prefers more than 4 vice presidents. And I think that is going to appoint 5 vice presidents. So who is going to be in there? Mahere, she's going to be the first vice president. Kareni Kore, he's going to keep her in there out of respect. He's going to have someone like Ngube sitting in there out of respect. He's going to move Tabita Khumalo. So Tabita Khumalo, she's going to be moved into the vice presidency as one of the vice presidents. People like Job Scala, he could move Job Scala in there, so that there's a whole bunch of vice presidents. But in fact, Mahere will be the only vice president there. And then obviously, if you have Wende is very, very ineffective. I don't know what Wende does. If you honestly ask yourself, what is it that Wende does in the CCC? You cannot understand it. So they're going to make him a vice president. So we have our 5 vice presidents. That is, as I've mentioned, Mahere, Khumalo, Ngube, Kareni Kore, Scala, and Wende. Probably 6. You can make them 6 vice presidents. You see that it is not in that list that I've put out. So what they're going to do is then they'll make it the Secretary General of the party. Critical position that needs a strong Secretary General. Because if you're going to be negotiating with ZANU-PF after the elections, you need someone that is difficult. You need someone that is going to make life difficult for ZANU-PF. So Tendai Biti is that kind of guy. Yeah, in fact, Tendai Biti is difficult to an annoying level. If you've ever seen Tendai Biti in performance in Parliament, you know what I'm talking about. He's not the kind of guy that will just let a position go. So now we've looked at the key positions: the vice president, the secretary general, the party spokesperson. And the key there is for you to understand that Mahere is the preferred vice president by Chamisa. But to get rid of all these other people, he's going to pack the vice presidents with at least 4 or 5 other people. And then if Chamisa wins, you will see Mahere is the vice president of Zimbabwe, Chamisa is the president, and the rest of the guys will stay in the party. There will be vice presidents who are best at the party. Now let's look at another key role. And that key role is the key role of Treasury. Who is going to be the treasurer of the CCC? And here there's going to be a surprise. Young Kudamsa Siwa has been very, very busy. He's been raising funds for all the activities from the public. So all the GoFundMes, all the fundraising activities that you are seeing now, the money that is being used to go around the country by Chamisa, besides the money from Hakainde, the money that is getting from Zimbabweans, it's been raised by the young Kuda. Young Kuda has been very busy after the failure of the GoFundMe by people who are in the United States and the people who are in South Africa here. He's been critical and instrumental in raising that funds. Besides being a businessman, Kudamsa Siwa is very, very passionate. He's also a very difficult person. He does not let go of his position. You remember his role in this flag, the branding of CCC as yellow, and his musical background. Kudamsa Siwa is a musician. He is very, very close to young people. So it will be critical in this position. If you keep David Coulthard, you then have to put Kudamsa Siwa as the deputy. And this is a no-brainer at all, because the CCC is going to be a new party, a different party from the MDC alliance. It's not the same. It's totally different. Now, I want to wrap this up. I want to look at the timelines. So you heard me speaking about the appointments. What needs to happen here is that the elections need to happen, the by-elections. Chamisa doesn't want confusion before the by-elections. So as soon as the by-elections are over, Chamisa is going to make appointments, and he's also going to make dismissals. A lot of people are going to be cut off. You've heard Chamisa saying he wants to have a small cabinet with no deputy ministers. We're going to be watching very, very closely what Chamisa is going to do here, because the kind of team that Chamisa is going to appoint must be different from the one that was there during the MDC alliance days. The MDC structure was terrible. It was huge. It was lethargic. It had so many people in it. No decision making could be made. If you look at the committee that Chamisa appointed after he dismissed these guys, it had, I don't know how many people, maybe 12 people. inside the president's office. What Chamisa needs now is advisors. He needs a core team of advisors, people with experience. And I think he's going to do just that. That's what he's doing here. And as I said to you a few weeks ago, Chamisa now has strategists that have been forwarded to him, either by Hakainde Hichilema's team who were in the election last year, or by another group. Someone else could have forwarded these advisors or strategists to Chamisa. The Chamisa that we are seeing now is not the same Chamisa that we were seeing in 2018. Is going to be very, very different. He's hitting the ground running. He's doing more than President Mnangagwa in terms of hitting the ground. If I was in ZANU-PF, I would be very concerned. This is very concerning what is happening to ZANU-PF, because Chamisa is consolidating the cities. Remember the mistake that Chamisa made last election. Chamisa focused on the raw areas when he must focus on the cities. If you focus on Bulawayo, if you focus on Harare, and everyone votes, Chamisa is going to do very, very well. So Chamisa has got this strategy. He is pretending to be focusing on the raw areas, but you know what he's doing. He's busy with the cities. Right now, Chamisa was in Glenview. He got out of his car. He got out of his armored car, whatever, and he was walking on the ground, greeting people. He's going to be doing a lot of this. He was in Bulawayo. He went to Unity Square, a flea market. Chamisa is different. His campaigning methods have changed. So I'm giving him that. I'm giving his strategists this. But his team, obviously, has been weak. But you're going to see a very, very big change in what Chamisa does. So in terms of timelines, after the elections, we're going to see the constitution making process. This is where you're going to know who's who. But I don't see Chamisa putting too much time between the two. So the day the constitution is announced, you're probably also going to see the announcement of the core team. He needs a core team. And then you're going to see the appointment of the provincial teams. It's key for Chamisa to have very strong people in the provinces. So you're going to have 10 very strong chairmen, plus 2. So 1 in South Africa and probably another one in the UK, plus the 10 in Zimbabwe. And then the national chairman. Chapita Khumalo is going to be out of there. And I think what they will do, they're going to put, if they don't put Scala on the vice presidents, they'll probably put Wende in that position of national chairman. But they need someone stable there, someone who is able to stabilize the party. There's a lot of guys that I haven't mentioned here who are going to be put in those positions. So let me conclude here. Very, very exciting time coming. And the team that Chamisa is going to appoint, very key going into the 2023 elections. And ZANU-PF must be very worried if Chin'ono is appointed to that spokesperson position. It's going to be a very, very difficult assignment for the ZANU-PF spokesperson if something happens in 2023, because Chin'ono has got serious international connections. He can call right now some people that you don't believe, and he can get to almost any international TV or radio station at any moment. And the narrative will be difficult to change for the guys who are in ZANU-PF. So very important decision by Chamisa. And this is not coming from Chamisa, it's coming from the strategists. Mark my word, there are strategists behind Chamisa's actions. Chamisa is doing very well in branding, in mobilizing, in focusing. So he's focusing the youths on the right issues, and then in grabbing attention. Chamisa has been grabbing attention. Even here, we're finding it difficult to look away from what Chamisa is doing. He is doing different things in terms of how he's conducting his electoral process for 2023. Look where we are now. We're in 2022, in March. Chamisa has started working on 2023 elections, which are probably going to be between June and December. So that is more than a year and a half before we even start talking of the process. So Chamisa is way ahead in terms of his planning compared to what he did in 2018. So if I was ZANU-PF, this is what I'll be watching, because remember what ZANU-PF is doing. They've got people in the different age group from the voters. That is their biggest challenge right now. ZANU-PF has got a spokesperson that looks like my father. And I'm saying, okay, you are saying I must register to vote for you. Why? That is a question that young people are going to be asking. And those are the changes that ZANU-PF is going to need to make. Sadly, for the young guys who are in ZANU-PF, it's difficult to make those changes quickly because ZANU-PF is a big bus. For you to get to the top, it's like turning an elephant. That is what ZANU-PF is like. ZANU-PF is strong. It's huge. It's got structures. But their disadvantage is their strength. They make decisions quite slowly, whereas Chamisa is agile, is an individual. So the disadvantage of Chamisa is also his advantage. And I don't know what strategy ZANU-PF is going to use to counter that strength that I've just described right now. Okay, so let's look at what Chamisa is planning to do. He's going to Mutare on Saturday. As I said, Chamisa is doing things differently. And it's difficult for ZANU-PF to match him in terms of what he's doing. He's going to be in Mutare. That rally, I hope that nothing happens there. Otherwise, all the attention will be on Chamisa again this weekend. So that is it. And also, I think Chamisa is announcing all his candidates tonight, or it has already happened. I wasn't around. I saw Young Ostalos. He announced that there'll be a presentation by all candidates. So ZANU-PF is losing out in terms of the campaign battle. And I put this to the strategists. The strategists behind Chamisa are doing a lot of good work. And I know the strategists are watching. They know what I'm talking about. Chamisa is going to do to ZANU-PF what Joe Biden did to ZANU-PF if they're not careful. Joe Biden, or Sleepy Joe, as used to be called by Donald Trump, he proved that a strategy is going to trump popularity and structures. If you've got popularity and you don't have strategy, or if you've got structures and don't have strategy, you can lose. And this is what is going to happen here if ZANU-PF is not careful, because Chamisa is implementing strategies that will make life very difficult for ZANU-PF going forward. So that is it for today. I know I left you guys with a big assignment. This picture, to a normal person, it looks simple. But to Gambako, when I'm watching this picture, I'm seeing 100 people behind these guys, or more. I'm seeing 1,000 people right now. These guys are serious. They mean business. And watch what is going to happen. If Hopewell is appointed to this position, Maher to the vice presidents, and Young Musasiwa is put in the Treasury department, and they get rid of all the guys who've been sleeping on the job. For example, I really want Ngule Gospanda to be as far away as possible from Chamisa. That guy has done nothing for Chamisa. If you look at Advocate Fulcrum, he was appointed by Chamisa. Ever since the day was appointed by Chamisa, he's never done anything. So this time, it's not the time for sleeping. You need people that are active if you're going to do anything to ZANU-PF. And obviously, this young man here, he's got a big role to play. I think the coming of Ostalos into the position of deputy spokesperson was actually a mistake. They needed to put him as the youth leader or the secretary for youths, because everything that's going to happen in 2023 is hinged on the youths. And as I said to you, the voters, I am an adult to the voters now. I'm 45. The voters are 40 and below. So if you're formulating a strategy, think about that. That's your market. What are you selling to those guys who are 40 and below? We can have all the other things that we talk about here every day. The structures, the confusion in the opposition. But the strength of Chamisa is also his weakness, or the weakness of ZANU-PF is also their strength. These two guys, we are going to an election that you've never seen before. And we might end up here with a situation that we do not understand, especially if Chamisa plays this appointment game very well, which I think is doing the way it's looking now, because his audience is international. Chamisa is anticipating rigging, he's anticipating that he's going to be robbed, he's anticipating violence, he's going to look for people that are going to communicate that position very, very well, very, very clearly, and in a way that ZANU-PF cannot counter. So this is what you're watching here, and it all starts with what Chin'ono does. If he agrees to this appointment of CCC spokesperson, it's a game changer for Chamisa. It would be a big win for Chamisa if he made Chin'ono the spokesperson here and Mahere the vice president. Because young women, as I said to you, not voting, no interest in politics. The young men in Zimbabwe, they have let down the whole young people because they don't vote and they don't participate. And the ones that participate, they're just used. Look at Joanna Mamumbe, she was just used, and now they haven't even done anything for her. She's got mental illness right now from the stress of what she went through after pretending to be abducted. And now she's left alone. She's got no appointment. They see that she's got no leadership qualities. Similarly, with Cecilia Chimbiri, she's never been appointed to anything significant because it's a men's world in the CCC. Let's see what they do with this situation right now. Right, that is it. That is what we have to say here. You can go and watch the old video I did on 28 May 2020. You will see it on gambako.com. Nelson Chamisa fires close associates in major reshuffle. That is when he made the announcement firing Monzora, Komichi, and all that, and he appointed new people and also removed Molokeli. Just go and have a look. It's very, very interesting. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll probably be back here later this week so that we see the new developments. Let's see what happens later on this week. But Saturday definitely will be here. We'll be looking at the rally in Mtare by Nelson Chamisa, who is covering a lot of ground compared to what he was doing the last time. Thank you very much, and good night.
Kuno aho pano mama wanna get it nice. I know food I meso, I know food I tebe, I know kaya marigi. Kama kweto tikom, kweto tikom usasaire. Kama kwe mari,
kamba kwe uyo anotara mari anogaya mari garai mamunzwa paninyaya pano zvamunoda kunzwa zvinotaurwa pano madiko kumunzwa mugova ne.com. Kamba kwe vanogaya mari vanotaura mari vanosiya mari. Kamba kwe vanotaura fea kuti pamberi zvichafamba sei. Vanhu muterere zvikubatsirei mukufamba kwenyu zvikubatsirei. Mirai ndikudze kuti chokwadi pano chizere. Kamba kwe vanogaya cash vanopa mafacts vanotaura straight vane evidence vane confidence plus intelligence plus intelligence.
Entertainment, current affairs and news. Kamba kwe don't come usasarire. Kamba kwe anugaya mari.